Hi, I'm Joe, the owner of Northeast Mountain Guiding, co-founder of the American Hiking Guide Association. I'm also a certified international mountain leader and a full-time mountain guide. Tonight we're going to talk about cold weather preparedness and some items that you would need for various outdoor activities. Mountain-based is what we're going to discuss tonight. Some of the things I'm not going to go too in depth with, like 10 essentials and first aid kits. Some of those things you should get some experience on or some formal training on those items. But 10 essentials are definitely first priority. First aid kit, carry a good comprehensive first aid kit with you. It's a fairly large one. I'm a wilderness EMT, so I carry a lot of items. Don't carry any unnecessary items, things you don't know how to use, stuff like that. If you watch the video on how to use it, you should definitely get some hands-on training on how to use all the items in your first aid kit. It's really important. Some common injuries out there in the wilderness are long bone fractures, head traumas, so I always carry an extra SAM splint or make sure I can use some of my materials or equipment for splinting materials, but I do carry an extra SAM splint. And then 10 essentials, some items that I keep with me outside of the 10 essentials, but I always keep my 10 essentials in a pretty readily accessible bag that's fairly bright color, either red, orange, something high visibility. I'll stick that in the top of my backpack. Some of the 10 essentials that I keep on my person are my compass. I always shove that in a cargo pocket or side pocket, and then my personal survival kit. This is always in my cargo pocket somewhere. This is a micro version of all your 10 essentials, minus the compass. I'd rather have the base plate compass with me than this little button guy. And then my food, I always keep in a blue bag when I'm out in the wintertime. A blue little ditty sack, whatever I need for that. They're both waterproof. And then you want to make sure you have some type of cup that you can boil water in. You run out of water in the woods in the wintertime, definitely a dangerous situation. This is a 3-ounce stove here. This works probably into like the single digits. It does spit a little bit when it's down there, but it still works and does the job. And then it's pretty stowable with a small can of isobutane. Your clothing, you should be familiar with the 3-layer clothing system. If you're not, you have no business being out there in the wilderness in the wintertime or the cold weather. We'll talk about clothing really quickly. Your base layer, that's going to be a real tight layer, either polyester or polypropylene or similar material. Then a pile layer on top of that, it's going to be fleece or some material like that, like a warming layer. And then outside of that's going to be your soft or hard shell, depending on what you're doing. I always opt for a hard shell and skip the soft shell. If I'm out there doing something like a snowshoeing trip or an intro to ice climbing, I always bring a heavier pair of snow pants because I'm going to be standing around, really not moving much, exerting much energy. If I'm ice climbing, I'll bring more of a technical pant, still same warming factors. And then a good pair of gaiters to go over the top of those. Make sure your gaiters fit over all your different style snow pants. I always wear extra large, it fits over all of them. Before you head out, make sure your bindings are good. You should always unbuckle these when you're done using them, but make sure the stitching's good on them. This way they don't rip on you in the woods. Getting snow up inside your pant legs and onto your ankles is a really, really dangerous situation. Various injuries can happen that way besides cold weather ones. For my hands, I carry a couple different pairs of gloves and mittens. I always wear a thin glove liner. I wear that at all times when I'm out there. And then I'll bring an extra pair of fingered, maybe a little thicker glove. These are Timberland. Timberland makes some fairly good, cheap gloves. These are great for what we do. And then I bring a couple pairs of mittens with me, 1 or 2 pairs. These are always good. Mittens, I wear these when I belay, when I ice climb, keeps your hands warmer. If you have the glove liner under there, the heat from your fingers keeps your hands warm. A lot of people opt for these big, heavy gloves like this, but when you're out there for a long period of time with these, your fingers are exposed. They're all kind of by themselves out there, so you want to go with a mitten. And then extra pair of wool socks, rag wool. For my head, I always bring a few different items. Whatever beanie I'm wearing when I first get there, I'll bring a balaclava just in case. Keep the nape of my neck warm underneath here. If you don't have a full beard like me, definitely get one of these. For my head, I bring a heavier fleece-lined beanie with me. Whatever material works for you here, just make sure it's fairly warm. And then this is for more of a kind of hanging around thing if you don't need to wear a helmet. If you do need to wear a helmet, I always opt for a windproof micro fleece. These are great. This is actually warmer than this big hat. This I've had for years, probably about 15 years. I love this hat. stows really well and anywhere inside your backpack, pocket. Just make sure you don't lose it because it's fairly light. And then just to talk about feet really quick, a lot of people have issues with their toes getting cold and they always think it's their socks or their sock system. It's usually related to something else with you. It's either something with your snow pants, a lot of the technical snow pants, whether they're for ice climbing, mountaineering, snowboarding, skiing. The knees are always kind of pulled in with the stitching for whatever reason that is. But it tends to cut off some circulation, especially if the snow pants aren't sized properly. Or it could be another part of your core isn't warm enough, like your head, or your core is sucking in all that blood from your extremities to keep all your vital organs warm. So it's not sending a lot of blood to your extremities. So you want to check those other things before you start piling on different layer socks. And then for footwear, I usually wear leather mountaineering boots. These are a Solos. These are really good. Or you can opt for something larger. The technology with the climbing boots is really, really great nowadays. I still go for these. I've been wearing these for a long time. Two-part system plastic boots. They're really for high altitude, but I wear them ice climbing and they work for me. They're fairly larger and heavier. If you have an issue with weight or you're one of those lightweight gurus, you can opt for something sleeker and smaller and more streamlined, but these are a great boot. And they're good because they come apart. You can sleep in your tent if you're out there for the night with just the booty on to keep your foot warm and put the shell in another part of your tent. So that's it for clothing. And then just some quick briefing on that. Make sure all of your clothing fits you before you plan your trip. So go out, size up your clothing properly, get everything fitted properly. Make sure you have a good clothing system going on. 3 layers on most of your body. Hands, usually 2 layers. And then your upper, make sure you bring some type of pile layer to stick on underneath your shell and over your other 2 layers. So more of a 4-layer system on your core area. Hand warmers, I'm not going to go into the technology of those, but they're definitely not recommended if you're going to be out there for an extended period of time. They tend to suck warm blood away from the core of your body or your inner part, and they'll bring it to the outside of your skin, your epidermis, and it's just same idea as whiskey. When you chug whiskey, it pulls all the warm blood away from the core of your body to the outer part of your body, and it just makes you actually colder. Another tip is if you have to go to the bathroom, if you have to pee, definitely go pee. Go to the bathroom as soon as you have to go to the bathroom. Your body tends to use a lot of blood circulating around your bladder to keep your urine from crystallizing, and that'll definitely pull the warm blood away from your extremities and cause some issues there. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is traction. So traction is going to be what's going on your boot. So you can get traction on whether it's low angle or high angle snow or ice covered terrain, permanent, non-permanent snow covered terrain. So the first thing, or the simplest, are micro spikes. These are really popular. This is what you would use, if you're an avid hiker out in the wilderness in the cold weather. These are great. I always stick these in the back of my backpack or in one of the water bottle pockets. These come in handy. Make sure they're a good pair of micro spikes too. If you're out there just for a day trip or something, you can get the cheaper pairs, but make sure you have a fairly decent pair with a good metal content on them. Your next thing is going to be snowshoes. Again, I'm not going to go too in depth on each piece of equipment, but these are tubs. Snowshoes go by your weight and your height, so make sure you get the right size. And you want to opt for something with a good aluminum frame on it, a good durable flotation material down here. So you want to make sure this is some type of plastic. I'm not really sure what it is, but these are great, really durable. And it also has a crampon type design on it. So if you're hiking up something steeper, maybe like a 45 degree or up to a 60 degree snow area, you can really gain some progress with those like that. And another thing to look for on these, on snowshoes, is the bindings. You want to make sure that the bindings can come off with mittens on. So you want to be able to release them so you can get them off of your feet quickly if you need to for any reason. And make sure the bindings can hold any type of boot. You don't want to make sure that they're not like your crampons, which we're going to get into in a second, where they're for specific types of boots. So you want to make sure they're like these. These will fit on any style boot. You can wear snowboarding boots with these if you really wanted to. All of them have several different features. Make sure that all the rivets are in. Make sure the rivets look good before you go out there. Make sure your bindings work. Everything works on them. Make sure they're not dry rotted. So you want to check that on your snowshoes. And again, make sure they're sized properly. You can go online. REI has some great information on their website about sizing your snowshoes and the proper choice. I see a lot of the snowshoes now, they're more for like an aerobic or a fitness style. They're very sleek. They don't look like this. They're more streamlined and thinner. They're kind of for really can't think of the exact word for it, but it's more for an aerobic activity versus enjoying it out there or using it to get to something. Then the next thing we'll talk about is crampons. I'll go a little in depth with these. There's several different kinds. There's your strap-on crampons. These are older style. These are for like maybe general mountaineering. They're usually 10 points. The points are the little spikes on the bottom here. Usually 10 points. The angle is fairly low, about 15 degrees versus the level of your foot to there, maybe up to about 22 to 25. And these just strap on any kind of boot. They just have straps with them. These are an older camp style from the late 90s, I believe. And then you have your hybrid crampons, which are, they have a step-in front on them, has a movable toe binding that can go any way. It can accommodate many different types of boots. And then in the back, it has something that's fairly rigid that'll snap onto specific types of boots. You see the little notch there, that grabs the tongue groove on the back of your boot. This boot has it here, little tongue groove in the back, and then these have it as well. You see that little notch there. That's for those types of crampons. This grabs right in the back, and then you put the strap through and strap it around. These are 12-point crampons. Again, points are on the bottom, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And you see the angle there is a little more aggressive, probably up to like a 35-degree angle or so. So these are more for technical mountaineering. Then you get into your step-in or hybrid crampons where both sides are step-in, nothing's really moving around, and there's just basically something that goes around your ankle or the top part of your boot to strap these on. These are more for waterfall ice climbing. You can see there's all grooves on them everywhere. These are black diamond. I think these are the saber tooth. I forget the model of these. These are pretty good. One thing with crampons is pick the right style crampon for what you're doing. And if you're walking on ice-covered rock, be real cautious with crampons. It could shear the ice if it's fairly thin, and you'll end up taking all the ice away. If you have any people behind you, they're going to end up falling off as well. You want to opt for micro spikes when you're on terrain like that. And then anti-balling plates. You can put those right here. A lot of crampons come with them. That keeps the snow from balling up underneath your boots. It's a really soft polymer material underneath there, or a hard polymer material, sorry. My crampons, I try to keep them in a package or a crampon bag. Charlotte Moser makes these, Petzl, a bunch of companies. These are pretty good. Make sure they have a net mesh bag. This is a different kind of Petzl one. The mesh is really thin. You want to probably avoid something like that and go with something larger, so if there's any sediment in your crampons or get the ice and water out a lot quicker than that. You can leave it on the outside of your pack. So that's probably it for traction. But like I said, make sure you choose the right style crampon for what you're doing. The next thing we'll talk about is more of your technical equipment. So that covers what's kind of on your person there. Backpacks, that depends on what you're doing. Most of the backpacks now versus the ones 15, 20 years ago where they were activity specific, they're more versatile now and they cover a wide range of activities, as you can see on this pack. This is the Osprey, what is this called? The Kestrel 46 liter. I've been using this backpack for a while. I like the ventilation system in the back. It's great for 4-season activity. It's waterproof. Great backpack. I use this for day trips, sometimes 2-day trips. I've used it overnight various times, maybe up to 3 days or so. I can fit enough gear in here. But make sure if you're out there in the winter, it has all the little fine features that you need for your equipment. You can stick your snowshoes or crampons in here. It has ice axe loops on it. You can flip them through and has the bindings up here to latch them in and daisy chain feature. Definitely a great backpack. The only problem with this is the top part isn't removable, but I never really had a need for that. Some people do. What I do like on the top here is it has 2 separate sections on the top, so it has 2 in the top compartment. So I usually keep my 10 essentials in the bottom. I'm really not going to get to those, and I'll keep some more vital stuff up top there. any medical waivers or information on my clients, some of my warming quick layers I want to access. But again, pick your backpack for what you're doing. Make sure all your equipment can go in there and it's not going to cause any issues. And make sure it can go in your backpack. We don't want to run around the woods looking like Santa Claus with things dangling around. You want to try and get everything inside your pack as much as possible. The only thing that should be on the outside of your pack is equipment that you want readily accessible for the terrain you're on, like your ice axes or maybe some of your snow anchors, which we'll talk about in a minute, and crampons and snowshoes, things that you're going to be taking on and off your person. So that's it for backpacks. A good helmet, I always go with a hard hat style. It can take multiple impacts versus some of those foam helmets where they get hit once with a rock and they're garbage usually. So go with a hard hat style. And again, make sure you have a good hat that can fit underneath here. I forget the type of helmet that this is called, but it's a great helmet. I use this for canyoneering mostly, but I do like this style. The only problem is in the winter time, if you can see the back here, it has two little buttons to adjust it. You have to take your mittens off to adjust that. So if you get the hard hat style that you're using mainly for the winter, make sure it has the knob that you can adjust it with. This way you can just spin it around with your mittens on. You don't have to take them off to adjust it. A good harness. Make sure your harness fits over your snow pants. I normally wear a large harness, but in the wintertime I wear an extra large. So make sure that fits over. Make sure everything is adjustable on it. The leg loops and the waist belt when you're picking a harness for the winter time. You want to be able to adjust things and take them off. And this in the back to remove them, make sure it has that. You can go to the bathroom if you need to. Some other items for walking on low angle terrain, I'll get into technical terrain in a minute, is a piece of 9-point something mil cord, whichever size, 9-point to 10-point millimeter. This is for confidence roping. On low angle terrain. This is a mountain leader skill that you'll learn if you take a mountain leader course how to use this rope. We could also use this for going across rivers if they happen to be flowing in the wintertime. I usually keep that readily accessible in my backpack, and then I keep a larger one for the same reason. And then I can also use these if I'm setting up a rope for any ice climbing. Then a rope for your activity, whatever you're doing. Whether it's usually pick a dry rope for the wintertime, whether you're ice climbing, mountaineering, glacier travel, whatever you're doing, keep your rope. Some other items, we'll get into some of the technical gear now, some snow anchors, but some more items for low angle snow is going to be a mountaineering axe. This is not an ice axe, this is a mountaineering axe. This is not for travel on ice covered terrain. The length of this goes by the height of your body, so 65 centimeters I believe is usually what you want if you're under 5'8", but there's charts online. Again, REI has a great article on this, on sizing these up. I always I'm not going to stand up because I'll get at a view of the video, but if you stand up and hold this down to your side, it should be a couple inches above the ground. This way it's sized up for when you need to self-arrest in snow. This is not for ice. If this is too long, you'll end up having to reach out real far to self-arrest, and it won't work out really well. You'll end up flipping over, losing your ice axe, injuring yourself with your ice axe, because your hand's going to naturally want to slide up, and then you have that full exposure of that spike at the end, and you don't want that. You want to have a good fit when you self-arrest with this. So size yourself up for that. I have a couple different models here of mountaineering axes. This is the Black Diamond Raven. This one's fairly light. It's a good axe. I've had this probably about 8 to 10 years. And then Omega Pacific makes a cheaper one. It's got a steel head on it. This is aluminum. I'm not sure the grade of aluminum, but it's fairly light. This one has a really sharp, aggressive spike on the end. Really dangerous, so be cautious with those. And then these ice axes, if you've seen them, these are more for technical ice climbing. These are a little older style, but they have various ones that are really curved, and again, the engineering on these is just like shoes. It's really advanced on these. I still use the older style, even the straighter ones. I like them, used to them. Make sure you know how to adjust these, and you bring the tools to adjust these out in the field. This one has a hammer, this one has an adze, so make sure you know how to use those. And then some of your snow anchors, there's various different types of snow anchors. You have your dead man anchors, these are great. These are, again, an older style. These aren't used very much in the snow anymore, but these work out really well. Take a mountaineering course from us or a reputable guide service on how to place these properly. And then these are pickets. These are great. These are really old pickets. I have 3 2-footers, a couple 3-footers, and 1 4-footer. These are great. Again, learn how to place these. You can see the shape of these. It's more of a T-bar style. The first snow pickets were actual aluminum window frames in New York City that some window guys used. They made them, and then over time it became what they are today. These are from that old T-bar style back then. Make sure all the holes, if you do make these on your own with what I was just talking about, make sure the carabiners can fit through all the holes. Again, take a mountaineering course to know how to place these. I always designate a carabiner to these. So each one has a designated locking carabiner when I bring them with me. And those can stow, again, in your backpack in the water bottle pocket, and you can bring it up through one of your compression straps. Same idea if you were to put skis on your pack. Some other items, ice screws. That's more for waterfall ice climbing. I always carry a few with me. We don't really do any advanced ice climbing. It's more intro to ice climbing strips, but I have several different size screws that I keep with us. Older style, newer style. Those keep changing. And a little quick rigging rack, a couple locking carabiners, or a few locking carabiners, a thin cordelette, a couple slings. So a simple rack. This I have here, but I don't use ski poles, but some people swear by these. They're pretty great. This one has a powder basket on it, which is great for snow. These are good for various reasons: momentum, stability. If you have any knee issues when you're coming downhill, especially if it's on high angle terrain, whether it's permanent or non-permanent snow covered, these are great. Make sure everything works. Make sure you know how to fix these if anything goes wrong with them. Adjust them, maintain them. Same thing as your ice axes. You want to know how to adjust these and maintain these out in the field. Some other equipment that I have with me, some avalanche safety if I'm in heavy terrain, a probe and a snow shovel. This is a smaller snow shovel from Black Diamond. You could use these as a dead man anchor too if you need to. Comes apart, you can use the T-handle. Some of the newer shovels have a snow saw in there when you want to really get into avalanche analysis or snow analysis. Some quick rescue equipment that I carry with me. A couple Prussics, piece of webbing, tib lock, a couple standard pulleys. These have plastic shivs. These are great for various environments. Then a Prussic mining pulley with an aluminum shiv. These are good. I usually stow these in the bottom of my pack. All my backpacks have a quick accessible compartment in the bottom, and I usually keep my first aid kit down and any rescue materials. This way I can drop my pack off my person if something happens to one of my clients or my friends, and I can unzip that and get right to those materials. So that's pretty much it for some winter preparedness stuff. If you have any questions, you can visit our website, nmgadventures.com. If you want to sign up for a course with us, you're more than welcome to, and come out and enjoy the cold weather with us. Have a great night.